If you'd like to own one of my pendants, stick around to the end of the video and I'll show you how. Hey guys, welcome to Bens Worx. This week's video I'm going to show you a real simple way of making a wood and resin pendant. The timber I'll be using for this one is just a piece of Tassie oak. Now I actually bought this one from the hardware store already milled to this size, which is 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch or about 12 mil. You'll also need some packing tape and some resin. And depending on what look you're going for, you can also add some ink. So I've just cut my wood down to a smaller size just to make it a bit more manageable. Now the first thing we need to do is snap it in half to get our nice jagged edges. Now I'm going to do that in my vise. Now I've got 3 blocks of wood here. I'm going to put 2 on one side and 1 on the other, and then screw on the vise. Now we have our broken pieces. So now we've got our pieces broken in half. The next thing we need to do is wrap some tape around it. Now you can put the second piece as close or as far away as you want. It all depends how much resin you want exposed. Just make sure the edges are stuck really nicely because we don't want the resin leaking out. Now that you've done that, the next thing we need to do is cut an opening in here so we can pour the resin in. I'm just going to take a little blade that I've got here and we're just going to cut a little door in the side. So now we've got our little door cut in there, our little window I suppose you'd call it, and that's where we're going to pour the resin in. Make sure you always put gloves on when you're dealing with resin. So I've got 2 pendants here that we're going to make. The smaller one I'm going to put inside the pressure pot, and the larger one we're going to leave outside. The way we can see the difference the pressure pot makes. Now it's time to pour the resin. I've got myself a silicone mat here just to catch any resin that may flow over. Now the resin I'll be using today is mixed at 3:1. So I've got one of these little paint mixing cups, and the resin I'm using is art cast. So I'm pouring part A in first, and I just pour till I get to the part A line. Now it's time to pour part B. Grab yourself a stick and stir that thoroughly. So I can use different colours. I'm just going to pour this into some smaller cups. The first colour I'll be using is ocean blue. And for the second one, I'm going to use this magenta. So I'm going to try something a little different with these pendants. I'm actually going to use the 2 colours in one and go for a galaxy type effect. I'm going to start with the lighter colour, which is the magenta. That's about halfway. And now for the blue. It will take a little while for the resin just to go in all the little cracks in there. You can even give it a hand by just tipping it up and down. Now it doesn't matter if you overfill it because we'll sand all that flat. Now if you want to mix those colours up a bit more, grab yourself a toothpick and just swirl them around. So like I said with the smaller one, I'm going to put it inside my pressure pot. That way we can see the difference. So now I'll just put some air in it. Now I only use low pressure in this pressure pot. I only put 20 psi in, and that should be enough to do the job. Now all that's left to do is wait, and we'll come back tomorrow.
The next step is to take them to the sander and square them all up.
I'll be using my disc sander to sand this one, but if you don't have a disc sander but you got like an orbital sander, just turn the button on, clamp it in a vise and just use it in the same way.
So the next thing we need to do is start going through the grits. I've got myself some 240, 400, 600 and some 800. So I'm going to start with the 240 and we'll run all the way up to the 800. Then I'll show you what it looks like. The next thing I need to do is move on to the micro mesh. I'm going to run through these grits, that way it'll polish them up nicely. Finally, the last pad. So I've finished sanding with the micro mesh now. Now let's take a look at the difference between using the pressure pot and not using the pressure pot. So you can see here that the one on the bottom was in the pressure pot and the one on the top was outside, and you can see all the little bubbles in the top one. So it just goes to show that even at low pressure, 20 psi, it still makes a big difference. Well, there we have our finished pendant. I really love the way this one turned out. You can see a little slither of wood there on the side. Turned out really nice. I think I'm going to call these ones the Galaxy Wood Pendant. Here's the second one. Now this one was done outside the pressure pot. You can see a little tiny bubbles in there, but I think that adds to the character of being the Galaxy theme. Kind of makes it look like there's stars in the middle. And this one you can also see it looks like there's a number 63 in the middle of it. That was a bit of a fluke. If you'd like to own one of these pendants or one of my other pendants, here's how you can do it. Just head on over to eBay, type in the search word BENSWORX, and that'll bring up all my current pendants. You can see here I have a range of different colours and shapes, and I've even listed the ones that we made today in this video. I've also listed the first pendant I ever made. I've got it listed as a keyring. It's quite large and I think it suits it. Well, that's all for this week's video. I hope you enjoyed this one. Give me a big thumbs up if you did. Also check out my Instagram and my Facebook pages. I put sneak peeks of upcoming projects. Thanks for watching and I'll catch you next time.